This message has been delayed more than once, dear soul, but not by accident. Listen carefully now, because what you're about to read was hidden for a purpose. These words, wrapped in light, have been protected until this very moment. Heaven held them back, not to deny you, but to preserve them until your heart W is ready, until the noise of doubt and fear faded, and you could hear clearly who you truly are. This is not a general message. It was never meant for everyone. It was prepared for you. And now, heaven has removed the seal. The pause you felt before wasn't rejection. It was divine timing. The soil of your spirit was still healing from burdens you never asked to carry. But now, the whisper of God has moved through the silence. Let them see it. Let them hear what I've written over their life since the day they survived what should have destroyed them. What you hold ing in your hands is more than a message. It is a spiritual inheritance, a divine appointment dressed in words. Something heaven saved for this exact version of you. Not the one who doubted their worth. Not the one who longed for approval from people who couldn't see your soul. But the one who has outgrown that cage and stepped into freedom. This word carries the breath of everything you've been sensing lately. The shift, the unexplainable calm in chaos, the quiet ache you couldn't name. All of it has been leading here to this unlocking, this sacred recognition. No matter who ignored you, no matter who left you behind, God never did. Heaven never erased your name. In fact, every time you held on, when everything inside you wanted to let go, heaven recorded it. Every time you stayed gentle when life made others hard, heaven took note. And now the record is being opened. The message that was blocked not once, not twice, but 3 times is finally landing in your spirit like a steady flame. Alive, undeniable, and sure. You didn't stumble onto this by chance. It sought you out. It waited until your heart could not just read it, but receive it. That time has come. This is the moment you've been sensing, that feeling something was about to break open. This is it. This is your confirmation. Not because someone prophesied over you, not because a friend validated you, but because heaven said, now, let these words enter their spirit like rain falling on dry ground. Let the parts of you that forgot how to hope begin to breathe again. You're not late. You're not lost. You are not broken beyond repair. You're standing in the very place where heaven decided to pause everything just to reach you. Do you realize how many times heaven read to send this before? Each time it drew near, your heart was still holding tightly to things that needed to be released. The noise of expectations, the weight of fear, the exhaustion of pretending to be strong when all you needed was rest. God saw it, and instead of forcing the truth on you before you were ready, He waited. He hid this word inside silence until your soul could hear. But now you're listening differently. Now your spirit leans in. Now your wounds are open not in pain, but in hunger. You're finally positioned to receive, and heaven knew it before you did. This isn't just text on a screen. This is a key, and not just any key. It's the key to a door you've been standing in front of for far too long, wondering why it wouldn't open. It stayed closed because this word hadn't yet been unlocked. But as you opened it today, something in the unseen shifted. The atmosphere around your life trembled, not in fear, but in response. Heaven moves when your spirit says yes. In the moment you whispered, I'm ready, heaven answered, then let it begin. This is the beginning, not only of a blessing, but of a whole new spiritual landscape. God isn't just answering a prayer. He's shifting our environment. The very people who overlooked you will begin to notice something they can't explain. It won't be your appearance or your status. It will be your light, that unmistakable glow of someone who has survived something sacred. You're not merely walking into favor. You are favor. You no longer have to chase approval or explain your soul. This message is proof that heaven sees you not as someone trying, but as someone chosen. So pause here. Let your heart exhale. Let the tears fall if they need to. This is your moment. You've been carrying your questions like stones pressed against your heart, and now heaven is gently lifting them away. Not all at once, but piece by piece. You're not being rushed. You're being restored. You're not being pushed forward. You're being prepared. And this word, this message that was hidden and guarded, is your confirmation that what you've been feeling all along wasn't a fantasy. It was guidance. You weren't wrong to believe. You weren't naive to hope. And you're not foolish for opening this right now. This moment is heaven-timed, created for you alone. Do you understand why this message was blocked? Not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. Because God, as protecting the purity of this moment. Forces tried to delay you. Distractions tried to cloud you. Emotions tried to blind you. But none of them were greater than the plan God had written for you behind the veil. You were meant to receive this not when you were surrounded by noise, but when your spirit had grown quiet enough to hear again. There were people in your life who would have misunderstood this message if it had arrived earlier. Even you would have doubted it if it had come the wrong season. But now you're aligned. Now your spiritual ears are open. Now your hands are empty enough to receive, without clinging, and your heart is steady enough to carry what is sacred. This moment is not an accident. It is a divine appointment. The delays weren't to deny you. They were to deliver you into the right timing. What's been unlocked here is more than a message. It's a release. You might not see the full picture yet, but something in the atmosphere around your life has shifted. Something holy has opened in silence. The weight you've been carrying is lifting, not by your effort, but by God's presence. The presence that waits for no stage, that needs no spotlight, yet quietly changes everything. Right now, that presence is moving toward you, not because you begged or forced it, but because heaven decided this is the moment. You held on when it felt like no one noticed. You stayed firm when nothing seemed to change. And heaven has honored your perseverance, not with pity, but with power. This message has been echoing in the unseen for a long time. Angels have surrounded it. It has been guarded, wrapped, timed, and finally released. And now it has found you. Not your neighbor, not your friend, but you. Because God doesn't speak vaguely about destiny. He speaks personally, directly, intimately. And this is personal. You may have doubted yourself, but God never doubted you. You may have wondered if you'd missed it, but God has always known how to guide you back. This message came now because everything before this moment was preparing your soul to receive without fear and to walk forward without apology. You're not being invited into another cycle of waiting. You're being welcomed into fulfillment, clarity, and sacred movement. And yes, it will happen quietly, just as this message arrived, just as true healing always does. You won't need to force it. It will flow. You won't have to explain it to those who don't understand because this isn't for them. It's for you. And God has ensured nothing can block it now. Not people, not doubt, not the past. This word is proof that what's coming next is sealed by heaven, and no hand can touch what has already been claimed in your name. Now listen closely. Yes, you. The one who has quietly kept moving even when no one noticed. The one who's seen doors close without explanation and still believed in light. The one who's lain awake at night, wondering if God still sees you. This moment is proof that he does. This isn't just encouragement, it's evidence. God has said, let them see it now, and you're seeing it because it was meant for you. Here's what you need to understand deep in your soul. The reason this message feels different, the reason your heart feels heavy and light all at once, is because this is not only comfort, it's instruction from heaven. You didn't arrive here by chance scrolling. You were led. Heaven waited until you were spiritually still, emotionally tender, and mentally open enough to not just hear truth, but to let it shape you. This message wasn't blocked because you were unworthy. It was held back because God was building your strength behind the scenes, preparing you for this exact shift. The kind of shift that doesn't make noise but transforms your life from the inside out. This is the moment when everything that has tried to make you question your worth is silenced. This is the moment when your doubts bow to your knowing. You were never forgotten. You were being formed. The delays weren't detours, they were preparation. They weren't just delays, they were development. And now God is saying, let them see it. They're ready. Beloved, you are ready. Not because you've solved every mystery, but because you've let go of the idea that you have to. You've stepped into a space where grace can move, where purpose can breathe, where alignment can arrive without resistance. That's why this word was released now. You're no longer trying to prove anything. You're finally willing to receive. You've walked with questions no one could answer. You've carried pain no one even noticed. But God noticed. He heard the prayers you never said aloud, the ones you kept hidden behind smile. He saw the nights you almost gave up but still chose to wake up again. That's why this message was hidden. It was meant for the version of you who survived what was meant to break you. That version of you is here now, strong enough to hear heaven's whisper without needing another sign. Because now you recognize that when your soul trembles with peace, it's God. This message isn't just meant to comfort you. It's meant to unlock you. You've been holding on to old stories that don't fit your new growth. You've been carrying beliefs that kept you small, relationships that clouded your clarity, patterns that slowed your purpose. And heaven has now said, enough. You're stepping out of survival and into alignment. You're being drawn into a reality that mirrors the prayers you cried in silence. Not the make it stop prayers, but the deeper ones, show me who I really am. This message is that answer. So hear me now, not as text on a screen, but as a divine echo waking up your memory. You're not late. You're not wrong. You're not disqualified. Everything is lining up because your heart is finally open to receive without doubting its worth. That's when miracles flow. That's when favor stops visiting and starts staying. That's when heaven stops sending hints and starts sending fulfillment. This isn't the end of your waiting. This is the beginning of your walking. You're no longer waiting for something to happen. You're standing in what has already begun. And now I say this to you. Yes, you who are still reading, still holding your breath, still wondering if this could really be about you. It is. You didn't open this by chance. You opened it because God just said, let them see it now. They're not who they used to be. Let them feel it now. Their heart is ready. Let them receive it now. What was blocked is now blessed. There comes a moment when silence breaks, not with noise, but with clarity. And this is that moment for you. What was blocked was never denied. It was preserved for the right time, for the right you, for the version of you who walked through fire, survived abandonment, learned to sit with pain, and still smiled at the world. God didn't block this message because you weren't deserving. He held it back because he wanted the revelation to meet your strength, not your brokenness. And now that you've healed, now that you've risen from nights no one knew about, now that your eyes have stopped looking for approval and started seeing truth, he says, let them see it now. This message was never supposed to be background noise. It wasn't written to soothe you for a moment and then fade away. This is your turning point, the place where delay ends, the place where God places his hand gently on your shoulder and whispers, you've waited long enough. Now walk. That's why your spirit feels so alive right now. That's why your heart is pounding without explanation. This word carries what you've always known deep down but couldn't yet speak. That your waiting hasn't been wasted, that your tears weren't forgotten, that heaven didn't overlook your pain. It was collecting it, redeeming it, shaping it into purpose. Let yourself believe it fully. Don't just nod. Don't just agree in your mind. Let your soul say yes. Say yes to the blessing that once felt too big. Say yes to the peace that defies reason. Say yes to the path unfolding beneath your feet. Even if you can't see the destination, you don't have to. All you need to know is this: God hasn't changed his mind about you. The promise is still alive. The favor is still moving. The miracle is still scheduled. You're not late. You're right on time. You're exactly where you're supposed to be for it to arrive. This isn't the kind of shift that demands attention. It's the kind that changes everything quietly, and suddenly your life reflects it. Your joy returns. Your body feels lighter. The heaviness in your chest lifts. People start saying something's different about you, but you'll know it wasn't overnight. It was spiritual. It was God. It was this moment, this word, this message that finally reached you. The one that was blocked 3 times. The one that waited for your soul to be ready. The one heaven refused to give up on. So now what? Now you breathe. Now you receive. Now is the moment to stop shrinking your vision to fit old disappointments. Step forward as someone who knows they are chosen. Not by people, not by circumstances, but by God. And if God has called your name, then what left you behind was never meant to carry you forward. If God has spoken your name, no other voice can rewrite your worth. If this message has reached you now, after all the delays, know this: the timing is no longer coming. It is here. And yes, I am still speaking to you. You, who quietly stayed behind when others lost faith. You, who never asked for much but always gave your all. You, who read this message not just with your eyes but with your heart, because your heart already sensed something was coming. God is saying, it's not coming. It has begun. Walk in it. Breathe it. You were never left out. You are being led in. You have arrived, beloved. This is the place heaven prepared for you. The point where clarity meets chaos, where silence transforms into understanding, where all the almost and not yet collapse into a quiet, undeniable knowing. It is yours now. What you waited for, prayed for, hoped for, and at times doubted is no longer distant, delayed, or blocked. It has arrived, not because you forced it, not because you earned it, but because God said, release it now. Nothing stands in the way. Doors that stayed closed before are now wide with grace. Words that couldn't reach you before now wrap around your heart like a warmth you had forgotten. The version of you that doubted, second-guessed, and questioned your worth has stepped aside. What stands here now is someone who has been spiritually nourished in the wilderness, someone who can find peace in uncertainty, someone who no longer waits for worldly validation because heaven has already confirmed it. This is not just a new beginning. This is a divine release. You no longer ask permission to be seen, loved, or chosen. You now know you were seen even in the hidden places, loved even in lonely seasons, chosen even when you felt invisible. This message, the one that was blocked 3 times, waited for this version of you. The healed you, the awakened you, the I don't need to chase anymore you, the God's timing is perfect you. Heaven celebrates quietly, and in that stillness, your spirit hears what it has longed for. That you did not miss it, you were not left behind, nothing you endured was wasted, and the restoration will surpass the loss. Do not return to shrinking yourself or begging for prayers. Walk forward with grace in your step, faith in your breath, and promise in your eyes. Walk as someone who has touched the edge of God's timing and lived to see it open. Walk as someone who no longer explains themselves. Light requires no apology. Walk as someone who knows. If this message was blocked 3 times and still reached you, know it was heaven's priority. And now, as I speak this final line directly to you, yes, you, the one who felt everything quietly, the one who has always been strong in silence. This is your moment. This is your release. This is your answer. Step into it knowing the delay was never a denial. It was God's design. Now that you have received it, nothing will be the same. A peace settles into your spirit. Not the fleeting kind the world gives, but the eternal kind that flows from heaven, wrapping around every ache like light touching wounds in silence. You have opened something never meant for everyone. This message was sacred, private, sealed with divine fingerprints. And now that it's in your hands, the atmosphere around your name has shifted. You may not hear it, but heaven has just moved in your favor. What was pending is now in process. What was in process is now in release. What was blocked has been blessed. The waiting is over. The blessing has arrived. You have arrived.